Is this just junk religion, or is it accepted by serious Muslim scholars? I asked a respected writer on Islam, Adil Salahi, if he agreed the Quran was disparaging about Jews.
On the contrary, Islam considers Judaism as a divine message given to one of God's most honored prophets and messengers.
What is all this apes and pigs stuff?
Well, in the Quran, God says that because they violated the Sabbath, He said to them, be like apes. Well, it means that they were driven by their desire to violate the law of God. They actually became slaves to their desire in the same way as animals are. But unfortunately, some people take it literally and carry the metaphor or the image into the modern world.
So why is it that some in Islam now choose to be so much less tolerant? For inspiration, they only had to look as far as Christian Europe, where Jews had, for centuries, been paying the price for the crucifixion of Christ. I travelled to Lincoln, the 13th century home to a small, prosperous Jewish community. I was there to discover the origins of the blood libel, the accusation that Jews used the blood of non-Jews in ritual sacrifice.
Very nice to meet you. Good to see you in Lincoln.
Here in Lincoln Cathedral is the shrine of little St. Hugh. Hugh was found dead at the bottom of a well in 1255. Local Christians claimed the Jews had murdered the boy and extracted his blood for their Passover ceremony.
Pilgrims could touch either an effigy of the child or something to do with him and be associated with this child's sacrifice at the hands of the wicked Jews.
In 1290, all Jews were expelled from England, but the blood libel had spread throughout Europe. Countless Jews died because of it. And, as I was to discover, it's become one of the most pernicious gifts the Christians passed on to the Muslim world. Centuries later, the blood libel was to mutate into another myth, perhaps even more devastating for the Jewish people.
Right, protocols of the meeting of the learned elders of Zion, translated from the Russian text by Victor E. Marsden.
This strange document, the Protocols, purported to be a master plan for Jewish world domination, except it was a blatant forgery, a concoction of the Russian secret police.
The latter work purports to contain minutes of certain secret meetings of the elders of Zion, which were laid bare the aim and purposes of the general headquarters of the Jewish nation for the conquest and enslavement of the entire world.
Millions in Europe came to believe this stuff. There's an almost direct line from the Protocols to the Holocaust. The Protocols, the blood libel, an anti-Jewish interpretation of the Quran, are these the signs of a new anti-Semitism? Once an appalling European problem, next we'll find out if it's become an Arab one. Now it gets a lot more serious. I'm on the road from Jordan to Israel, passing through the occupied West Bank and the Judean desert. It's a critical time here. This place is on a war footing, but now with a slim chance of peace. 2 years of intifada have fueled anti-Jewish rhetoric, as have the ruthless policies of the Sharon government. The war of words is even more intense than the physical battle. But how seriously should we take it?
Part of the trouble is, if you're continuously on the hunt for anti-Semitism or other forms of racism, there's always going to be somebody who's expressing it some way. And the real question is how widespread such feeling is. And I want to feel completely comfortable with the idea that it is widespread enough for us to be concerned and worried about, rather than an emanation from a very small number of extreme people.
At Palestinian Media Watch, I get an answer. Their job is to monitor anti-Semitic material as shown on official Palestine TV. The words and images shown here, according to director Itamar Marcus, reveal the real message of the Palestine leadership that there can never be peace as long as Israel exists. But I asked him, wasn't he just picking on isolated examples for the sake of propaganda?
We have 10, 15, 20, 30, 100 times the amount of material that we can possibly send out, because it repeats over and over and over and over again. And we have it in the last few weeks, and we don't only have it from religious leaders, we have it from professors, and we have it from politicians. We had one just recently, a month and a half ago, from a minister in government who referred to the evil religious law of the Jews, which is what is so entrenched in them, which is why they're killing us, etc., etc.
Sermons in the mosques, MTV-style videos and even programme breaks, they're all in the Media Watch archive. The music videos for children are especially popular, repeated constantly during the day.
Now, here's another example. We're not only evil, but we're actually cursed of God. Here, this is another religious leader.
أيضا من أعمالهم الشريرة ما يسمى بالهولوكوست ذبح اليهودي.
Right. So he's now linking the Holocaust, the so-called Holocaust, to this sin of Jews in Muhammad's day.
Well, what he does here is he says, we see the Jews are evil, and the Holocaust is a perfect example. The Jews created the Holocaust. And actually planned it, he says, together with the Nazi leaders in order to get sympathy of the
That's
world.
a peculiarly kind of perverse piece of history.
Right, but what their point is that Jews are the epitome of evil. The epitome of evil incarnate in the world, and that's why they have to be destroyed.
Marcus's work gives him a hotline to the Prime Minister's office, and whether or not all Palestinians take this stuff seriously, Ariel Sharon certainly does. The idea that hatred of Jews is sanctioned by the Islamic faith itself terrifies Israelis and may even affect the peace talks.
I am absolutely convinced that the tremendous willingness that we've seen of suicide bombers to go out and kill vast numbers of innocent people, civilians, children, babies, has been a direct result of the Palestinian society placing the murder of Jews as a religious obligation.
أيضا من أعمالهم الشريرة ما يسمى بالهولوكوست ذبح اليهودي على أيدي النازية.
That discussion with Mr. Marcus has left me profoundly depressed. That's a real and a genuine catalogue of things being said and preached and shown on Palestinian television, any one of which would have a prosecution for incitement of racial hatred in Britain. And even allowing for the kind of heightened sensibilities and the sense of absolute injustice amongst Palestinians. You're forced to ask the question, why do the Palestinian Authority leaders allow that stuff on television? Why is it there?
A lot of what I'd seen at Palestinian Media Watch emanated from the imams in Gaza, so that was the next stop. Nothing quite prepares you for this place. A unique 14-mile strip of land that's a part of the Palestinian Authority and a virtual prison camp for its 900,000 residents. The Israelis strictly control Palestinian movement in and out. My fixer on the Israel side has not been allowed to visit his sister in Gaza for 10 years. I wanted to find out what the young thought about Jews and Israel. What were they being taught about their unwanted neighbours?
Oh, it's a big place.
This is a private school built with money from the Gulf states.
About 700 children.
They get more than Ofsted here. Recently, the Israeli army smashed down the doors. In the same week, a much-loved teacher was killed in a raid on armed Palestinians.
Good morning, boys.
Good morning, teacher.
How are you today?
Fine, thanks. We hope you are too.
The disorder, however, ends at the
Sit
classroom.
down.
You are welcome.
What is life